put there by the same people who gave you your government, your corrupt education, who set up your international banking cartels, because our masters don't give a damn about you or your family. All they care about is what they have always cared about, and that's controlling the whole damn world. We have been misled away from the true and divine presence in the universe that men have called God. I don't know what God is, but I know what he isn't. And unless and until you are prepared to look at the whole truth, wherever it may go, whoever it may lead to, if you want to look the other way, or if you want to play favorites, then somewhere along the line you're going to find out you're messing with divine justice. The more you educate yourself, the more you understand where things come from, the more obvious things become, and you begin to see lies everywhere. You have to know the truth and seek the truth, and the truth will set you free.
Jordan, it is nice to speak to you again after 3 years of our last interview regarding the world situation, and now everything changed so fast.
Yeah, I know everything.
Yes.
The whole world is changing.
Yes, whole world is changing. Did you expect this? Because we know we both very deep in astrology. Did you predict this? What's gonna happen in the future? All this.
I think what we're looking at today is a communist revolution on the world today. The Communist Party is in revolution today. And this is why they're shutting the whole world down. They want the whole Western world and the West to go under. And so the communists are staging a world revolution. And I understand, so nothing I can do about it.
Yes. But in your many books, you wrote about this royal families and just elites, world elites, but they rule the world, the money for the long time. So they always been very close to the communism and this kind of the
political
way of
suicide.
Yeah. So,
and America is at fault. It's our fault because we could have done something about it, but we didn't see anything to do. We didn't see what to do. So it's our fault. So what's going on in the world today is America's fault.
I mean, a lot of people when been seeing America the last 30, 40 years, it was a bit strange that many US presidents they give the power outside of US. I mean, all the production, strategical places, production of the cars and other goods, they moved to China. So we know that was the plan because the elites, they don't have a nationality, so they don't care about if they are American, if they are English or Polish or Russians, or Chinese. They are over this.
Yeah, and again, it's our fault because the American people don't care. They don't care. So if they don't care, then nothing they can do.
Yes, that's important. The consciousness is too low to stop all of this. But in the last 50 years or more, you've been talking about this in 60s, in 70s, in 80s, and people look at you as a weird person. Of course, today is different because everybody can see that that this fake news is not fake news. This is just reality. what's happening every day.
Yeah, and I was talking about the same exact situation in 1959. That's 80 years ago. So, but nobody cared. So, okay, so nobody cares. So that's it.
I remember. I remember you many times you've been a bit frustrated about this situation, that the reaction is like zero, because everybody wants to live comfortable with the goods, supports money every month. But this what's coming is something what we can't really treat as a normality, because in the close future it could be one world prison with no bars.
Mm-hmm.
So there was many authors, and you also who in the books predict this situation, like George Orwell in 1984, and many others. So actually,
Yeah.
everybody. So the history, it's a key. If we don't know history, we can't organize future. We can't predict any future. So the people bagatelize history. That is not important, because everything what happened in the past is, if you don't need to know. But all Second World War and the Russian Revolution was influenced, sponsored by the same families what they try to put this agenda today. So this is very frustrated that nobody knows this, or not a lot of people knows this. That this
And
is the
lots of
same.
people don't care.
They don't care. Yes, yeah. They're just still sleeping.
Yep.
And based on astrology cycle, how you would Jordan predict this? What's gonna happen now? Can you see
I
this
think
Aquarius?
probably what's going to happen now is next year, about March of next year, everything's going to change again. Everything will change again. And we'll get back to being like we have been before. But it's going to be another year
Another
till
year.
March of
So,
next year. And we'll
have you?
see if I'm right. By next year in March, the whole world is going to change again, and we're going to get back to being free again.
Oh, that's very positive. That's very
Yeah.
optimistic. And do you think it's a conjunction of Jupiter Saturn on next, or is it just in general energy of Aquarius what's coming?
No, I think it's because of the planets.
Planet.
Because the planets were going. Because I knew, I knew 2 years ago this was going to happen, and I said it's going to happen in 2020, and I said it's going to happen. But when it happens, it's going to take a year and 4 months to change everything. It's all going to change again, a year and 4 months. And so that's what we are now. And so when I said that, I was talking about March of 2020, March. And I said a year from now will be March 2021. And it's going to take a year and a half from then to get back to normal again. And so I think it's going to take a year and a half to get back to normal. And so that's going to be like March of next year. So there's nothing we can do about it. We just have to wait it out and sweat it out.
Yes, but you mean, Jordan, about this change will connected to the restriction only, or it's gonna be new situation, new consciousness rising? What will
I
change?
think it's going to be new in the way that it's going to work itself out, because there's never been a time when communism is going to work. It has never worked. It cannot work. It can't work. It doesn't work. And so, therefore, we have to wait and let it die on its own terms. And so we have to just wait, and it will die. and then there'll be intelligence come back into mankind. Right now, there's no intelligence anywhere. None. There's no intelligence anywhere. So we have to wait.
Yes, we have to wait and see. And I predict also a lot of changes and a lot of change of the consciousness will start because the Saturn, of course, is destroying some government, destroying some rules, old rules, and then starting to build something new. Like Aquarius is always starting the new ideas, the new ideas, and we see
new
this.
idea,
Yeah, we see these new ideas. Of course, the communism. It can be some people saying that because Aquarius is very social, it's very he treat the same, every level, same people.
That's why we have in America all the social networks like Facebook and Twitter. These are all social networks. Why? Because we're bringing socialism. So that's why we have social networks with the socialism. And Soviet Union was the USSR, Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. And so that's what we are today. We are the new Soviet Union. So you have the Carpenters Union, the Painters Union, the Plasterers Union, the Drywall Union, and the Soviet Union. And so that's what we are. We're the Soviet Union. We're unionizing all labor around the world into a communist empire. But it will never work. It will never work. It never has worked, it never can work, and it never will work. And so it's going to die very soon. Within the next year, it will die. And so we have to be ready. And so if we can stay alive till then, we're going to be able to live through this mess.
Yes. So do you think the elites, what they try to rule the world, they know about this new energy what's coming, and they try to use this against us?
Yeah.
Because it seems that they don't have a power to influence. They only can use the special time. That's why they are very focused on numerology, on astrology. They laughing at this. But they using this like in Aikido. They use energy of the enemy for us to use some mess or some chaos. That's why this chaos word is always what they repeating everywhere.
What you need to do is you need to go on the videos on YouTube and look for UFO Expo Mega, MEGA, Mega Expo, the UFO Mega Expo, and look for my lecture on the UFO Mega lecture, because I did a lecture in Laughlin, Nevada. And it was called the UFO Mega, MEGA, Mega Lecture. And if you can find it, you need to watch it. It's free.
I put link after the recording. I put link on so that people can see and go there.
Okay. Because you need to watch the last half. It's 2 hours long. But the first hour, I'm just giving some examples. But the last half is very important, because that's where I am showing you all of the regular connections between communism and America. And I show you who's doing it and why and how. And it's all in that video lecture. So if you watch the video, watch the last half. The last hour is very important.
Because we can see actually you've been very deep into this societies what hiding, I mean changing names, family royal names, using different names during the time, so it's very hard to catch them. it's very hard to catch them because in our brain is something like psychokinetic time that the people never come back to the time in the past, and they can connect two facts together. Anything which is not, which is against the nowadays science and history is removed. Even the control by Google and Facebook, what they try to do is typical from like in communism. Anybody who wants to say something opposite or different way, it's an enemy of the system.
You're right. They
So we
don't
see
want
today-
anybody thinking too much. They don't want you thinking too much. Because if you think too much, you will find out that everything that goes around comes around, and that nothing has ever worked in communism, and they know it, and you know it now. And so that's why they don't want you thinking too much, because if you think, you know this is not going to last forever. And so that's why I'm saying probably next March is when it will begins to go. It'll begin to leave. This craziness will begin to leave because it's not going to work at all. It never has and it never can.
And do you think that this dark side, I can call them dark side, what they're doing, because it seems like very extremal, and a lot of people now see what they try to do, not like before. Do you think that the elites, if they doing so kind of oppression because they have controlling almost every country now, every government, so do you think everything what they do, like big oppression controls, is it kind of element what can help us to help other people to wake up?
Well, it doesn't matter, because even if the people wake up, there's still nothing they can do. They can't do anything. They're too ignorant and stupid. The people are ignorant and ill-informed, and so they can't do nothing. Knowledge is power, and those who have the knowledge and know what's going on and understand it are very powerful people. And so that's why it says knowledge is power.
Yeah.
And that's why the people of this world have no power, because they have no knowledge. They don't know what's going on. They have no idea how it works or why, and therefore they don't have anything they can do. You just have to go through it.
That's why all this everything has to be monopoly for National Geographic, Discovery programs, what they want to show, History Channel. Everything is single. There's no big competition between, so that people don't have a big choices of this. Everything is promoted. Right. Even the people who set up the website, what controlling the information, what they like a judge, they treat what is fake, what is not fake. This is private corporation who have a big influence. They want to have a big influence for this what they're doing. So everything which is monopoly is not good. It's like social communism. Everybody can see that we don't have really choice, because too long it is going bad way, too long. So on the beginning, everything is free. Everybody wants to have a profits, but after that, everything changed.
Yep, you're right. And the freedom that we did have in America, where we used to have freedom, was based on our land. The land in America is what kept us free, is our ownership of our land. Today, we don't own any land, so we don't have any freedom. There's no freedom.
Yeah.
Because land is the basis for freedom. And so if you don't have any land that you own, then you don't have any freedom.
They want to take us our land because they want to force the sea law, which is the martial law, connected with water.
That's right.
So that's why they are a bit crazy about water law. Everything has to come from water. everything has to be corporate, like corporation.
And
So
that's
in
why you
1980,
put your money, that's why you have to put your money in a bank. You have to have a bank, because the banks are on both sides of a river. They're called river banks. And what does a river bank do? A river bank directs the flow of the currency, because your money is called currency. It's an ebb and a flow of the current, like in a river. And so it's a current. It's a currency. And so that's why we say money is currency. And so it's very simple if you just think about it. And most people have never heard anything about the world. They don't know how it works. They don't understand money. They don't understand land. And therefore, they don't have any land. They don't own anything. So
their plan is now to make the guaranteed wages for people, so they don't have to work, they don't have to care about nothing. It's like you said, communism 100%. So people will be dependent of the corporation and the system. So we see
that's
now
right. That's right.
Yes. So they want to destroy the small companies, services, what gives people a bit more freedom. So they want to have these 30 families. They own all the big corporation all over the world. Even now, even today, like president of Tanzania, they've been against this tests. So this kind of country, like Belarus and Tanzania, they are now under fire of information on newspapers, TVs, that they have a crazy president, they're taking too big risk.
Yeah.
So this going this way definitely. But they planned this before long time ago, before Second World War, after Second World War, before First World War. Everything it is that they plan. So the Agenda 2030, what they're planning to do, it's to use this electronic currency, to use the chip, use 5G antennas for the communication. And
I know. The most important people today on the earth are the Polish people. They're the most important people on the earth, the Polish. Why? Because they are the division. They're in the middle of Russia and Europe. And so they are the people in the middle.
Yes, I can tell you that the Polish genes, they are always revolutionary, and they are very big, they have in the heart very big freedom. That's why, and this is why many in 18th century and 19th century emigrated to United States because of this. So even Irish connected genetically a bit with the Slavic people, because today we see the people as a Slavic, but when we going in the past, we see haplotype R1b, R1a, and this is one root of these Europeans would emigrate. Of course, they've been divided, but emigrate to United States, and they always fight with communism, with Adolf Hitler in the Second World War, and always been treated. Always, the biggest parade what they done after Second World War. So they organized with Alliance, and the Polish soldier, they couldn't work with them. So because Churchill and the American president and English president, they don't want to take the risk against Stalin, because they knew that Poland will be now undercover influence of the Russia. So so they always today it's a big consciousness rising in also Polish people, not only Polish, many Slavic people live there, but freedom is number one, and they knew that they fighting to the end. So this is very important and characteristic for Polish people.
I know.
So silent before the storm, awaiting command. A few has been chosen to stand as one outnumbered by far. The orders from high command: fight back, hold your ground. In early September it came, a war unknown to the world. No army may enter that land that is protected by Polish hand. Unless you are 40-1, your force will soon be undone. Undone. Baptized in fire, 40-1. Spirit of Spartans, death and glory. Soldiers of Poland, second to none. Wrath of the Wehrmacht brought to our halls. The 8th of September it starts. The rage of the Reich.
It's very important. And if you don't understand what's going on, you can't change anything. You can't do anything because you don't know anything.
Yes.
And that's the problem, because America is an ignorant, ill-informed, and unread country. We don't know anything. We don't understand anything. We just watch the cartoons and the entertainment and all the Hollywood and all that silly nonsense. And all the time, our enemies are planning to overthrow the United States. But the people don't see that. They don't know that. So they're going to have to be overthrown.
Yeah, so it's going to be a lot of changes. And also I have a big hope that, like you said, in the next 15-16 months, a lot of things will come back to normal. And
It's
we
going to
start
be at
again.
least another year.
Mhm. The system changed for better. Also, the system will change for better.
Yeah. I think the system will change for the better.
Because as you see, many people now, not only in Poland, of course, they are very going into deep natural law, universal law. The guy who been talking about this 30, 40, 50 years ago. And now, as I see now, many lawyers even, they are very interested to talk about this, to change the law, to be more connected to the land, more connected to the human natural rights, but not the corporation law. So
I
I
know.
will see that next week I'm gonna have a live with one of the lawyer who is thinking about to do something like a hybrid of the existing law in Poland and use more like a natural law, which is also Aquarius. It's connected with revolution, with big change, and also is ruled by Saturn. Saturn also connected with the law structure,
Yeah.
structure, bone structure from human body, and also any structure. That's why we see now that all the structure would never works. Like you said, communism will never work. Something new started, and we think that this first time.
That's right. I know.
all the planets has the specific energy. What I see that is our brain and our body is influenced. So the sun has different, Mercury has different.
Yeah, and the sun is the word sun, S-U-N. The sun that comes up in the morning is S-U-N. But your boy is called your son, your S-O-N. And S-O-N is a German word. That's the way the Germans spelled the word sun, S-O-N, not S-U-N. And so that's why today we're all mixed up. We don't know the difference between the S-U-N and the S-O-N. But we don't know. And so we just go along and do whatever we do because we're stupid, we're ignorant, we don't know anything.
Etymology of words is so important. Even if we compare, because Polish language is very difficult for other nation to learn, but when you see the structure of the words, it's very hard. This mean that it's quite ancient. So Sanskrit is a lot of Polish people we understand Sanskrit because many words is also the same like in Lithuania, in Polish language. So in Etruscan alphabet also they have a letter K, which is the same letter K as and in the Polish alphabet. But C, what the Western word read as a K, it looks like the Latin language was translator for these other languages, so they didn't really understand what is runes, how the people read this from right to left, from left to right. So this nation came and of course used this, but didn't fully understand how the alphabet works. That's why it's many different mistakes today. And even in mathematics system is going more stupid now instead of like Babylonian or was 12, 15, 60.
I have my friend here that I depend on. He's so intelligent. He's Polish, but he's so intelligent. He knows all about the royalty of Europe and the Polish nobles and the nobility and the governments of Poland and how it works and why it works the way it does. And I'm telling you, he is. Huh?
Is it Mr. Dobrowski?
Yeah.
So you promised me to ask him to make interview, Mr. Dobrowski, if he agree, of course, yeah, because many people asking. Because 3 years ago you mentioned him on the first interview, and many people ask if we finally do interview with Mr. Dobrowski. So if you be so kind to ask him if we can make an interview with Mr. Dobrowski, would be also very great for audience what is waiting for.
Oh, he would be. He causes big trouble. Wherever he goes, he causes big trouble. Lots of people arguing and rant and raving and arguing because most people can't take him. Most people can't take the truth. They can't deal with it. And he tells them what's really happening and when and why and how. And the Polish government and the Polish people are the division between Russia and Europe. And so he tells the people the truth, but they can't handle him. They don't like him. But if I had him on the show, he would be extraordinarily brilliant, incredibly smart. So I like him.
Yes.
I like him because he's very good. And he tells me what's going to happen and when. And every time he tells me what's going to happen and when, he's right. Every time. So I ask him, how do you do that?
Is it Joe Dobrowski, yeah?
Yeah, Joe Dombrowski. Mm-hmm. And he is incredible.
And also astrology.
Yeah, astrology.
Yes,
and
astrology.
He told me about 4 or 5 years ago, he told me, watch 2020. That's when it's going to happen. It's going to happen about February or March of 2020. And it will continue to the next year. And it's for a year and 6 months later. So a year and 6 months later is 2021 in March, plus a couple of months. March, April, May, maybe May.
2021?
Of 2021, maybe March, April, or May. April, probably, is when everything is going to change.
But April 2021, it's in few weeks. So you mean this year or next year?
Well, it's actually going to take another year.
Uh-huh. So it's 2022?
Yeah,
Probably.
2022.
Mm-hmm.
In March of 2022, everything will begin to work itself out and it'll be gone.
Well, that's,
Because,
we hope that.
because the communists, they already know this. And Joe has told me many, many times the same thing. He told me it's going to happen in 2020 and it'll be over in 2022. And he's right. And so I just say, okay, so what can we do? Nothing. So just leave it alone and it'll go. It'll go because they'll have to make a change. The politicians are going to have to wake up and see the changes coming. And so, yeah. And so 2022 is when it's going to end. Probably in March or April. So
you mean that the people still will be under control about this elites corporation, or did something start, something new to?
Well, he said things will get back to where it was. It'll get back to normal. But all of this lockdown and all that stuff is gone. It'll all go. It's all going to be gone. And when it's gone, then it's gone. And the people will get back to living the way they've always lived. So we got another year. Almost exactly another year. So that's where we are now. We got another year of this.
I hope that this change will go in a good way, and also try to see this situation, what is now the big restriction and crazy time, as a plus for people who still sleeping, because as you see, many in the past, a few years ago, most people been laughing, or mainstream media been laughing about fake news, and but now this fake news, it's happening as a reality. It seems that the people have been right who've been talking about this fake news. I mean, the conspiracy theory.
Yeah. But the problem is that's another year like this. There's another year living in this crazy world. Then the world will get back to being normal again.
Jordan, do you think it's a good idea that the people should think, the government should think, and actually maybe not government, but the people from the bottom, they should start to change this word to go this way, more universal law, not corporation law, because
That's right.
we need to
divide
corporation from human.
We should be going by natural law, not corporate law. The corporate law started and comes from the Vatican, because the Vatican is a major corporation. It's a corporation, and it incorporates all of the world. And the Pope himself is worthless. He is the Holy Father. We call the Pope the Holy Father. Why is he a Holy Father? Because he speaks for God. He's a godfather, like the mafia. He's a godfather. So he's a Holy Father because he speaks for God. So he's a godfather. That's why you have all the most important people in the world going to the Vatican to kiss his ring. Always to kiss the Pope's ring. Why? They're showing respect for the world godfather. I say they ought to get rid of him. But they're going to have to get rid of the Catholic Church also. Because the Catholic Church is nothing but a mafia operation. And so that's why the church is in such trouble today.
Yes.
It's in serious trouble today.
But the symbolism of faith Christianity is to Pisces. Pisces as a symbol of this era.
Yeah.
What is finishing. So we see the connection problem with Catholic Church is going parallel with end of Pisces era, which is the I believe. So now, with new energy of Aquarius and the Uranus, who always try to discover everything what was hidden long time, and also change for new. For Aquarius knows that the change has to be done for humanity. So he wants to. That's why this air element always is like tornado. Sometimes he's destroying old system, but after that we can start something new.
Yep, and we're going to very soon. But the problem is we got another year to go. And not many more people are not going to be alive next year. They're going to try and kill off all the people, as many as they can. As many people as they can, they're going to try and kill them. And that's what they're doing today.
What is the reason, do you think, Jordan, what is the reason why they want to kill this most of the people in the world? They have an obelisk.
Because of Social Security. Because they have to pay out a lot of money to people all over the world through Social Security. There's all kinds of Social Securities around the world. Poland has a Social Security. Russia has a Social Security. We all have Social Securities where the government pays you money when you retire. Well, when they pay you money, where are they getting the money? They just have to keep printing the money and printing the money and printing it. And so they don't have to do that. If they kill you, if they get rid of you, they don't have to pay you. And so that's why they are trying to get rid of as many people as possible so that they don't have to pay them any Social Security. Because the reason why they're paying Social Security is because of the Roman Empire. New York is the Holy Roman Empire today, New York. And that's why when Caesar was ruling Rome, he wanted Britannia. He wanted Britain because Britain had the largest seafaring people on the earth. They had the largest navy. And that's what Caesar wanted. So when he went into Britannia, Caesar went into Britain with his troops. And he took over Britain. And when he took over Britain, his seat of power, where he ruled the world from, was in England, in a city called York, England. That's where Caesar ruled Britannia, from York, England. Well, now in America, we have a New York. And New York is in the New England. And so that's why today Caesar has finally got the whole world now, because we have in New York the United Nations. We brought all the nations together in New York, the Empire State. That's why we have an Empire State Building, the state of the new empire. And the Empire State is New York. And why? Because it has the United Nations. And that's Caesar wants the United Nations. He wants to control the whole world. And somewhere along the line, they're going to get in so much trouble trying to rule the world. They're going to get in so much trouble they can't handle it. And that's when they're going to change. They're going to have to change. And they're going to have to make a big, big change. So me, I just sit and wait. I know it's going to take another year, so I'm not going to worry about it.
Yes, everything is connected, and these elites, they still believe they are connected with the Roman Empire and ancient, even Babylonian families, even today. So, but in the Pisces era, this kind of mystification they could do, because the people couldn't see this. But now, when the Aquarius coming, and I know which is the word connected to Aquarius, I know. So he's checking the cards. He's gonna be check every details from the history, the future, analyze everything. So he's not stupid Zayn. Yeah? So it's just a very clever Zayn. So the people.
I'm gonna try and get my friend Joe Dombrowski to come on and do a lecture about what's going on in the world. And when you hear him, you'll know this guy is really smart. He really knows what he's doing, because he's an expert on world affairs. And boy, when I talk to him at night, I talk to him almost every night. When I talk to him, I'm just amazed at his brilliance. I'm amazed at how much.
Would you ask him, Jordan? Would you ask him if he could agree for life? So the Polish people will be very happy. Not only Polish, but of course his surname is like Polish, so he's probably connected with Poland. He's Polish, yeah. Joe is Polish. So
well, he tells me I don't want to talk to anybody, because nobody has got the brains to understand what I'm talking about, and they get mad at him because he tells them the truth, and they can't handle the truth. And so he said, I don't like talking to the people because they don't like me. Nobody wants to hear me.
The people, they already told me in the last 3 years, been asking me by emails, by messengers, when we gonna do live with Joe Dombrowski, because they watched our video 3 years ago, and they still waiting for Joe Dombrowski. So you can ask him information that they said hundreds of people, they expecting this live with Joe Dombrowski.
Yeah.
Because they wake up, their consciousness rising, and then he doesn't need to worry about the people don't like him. They like him. They never see him, but they like him.
Yeah, well, because he is so incredibly smart, so intelligent. He knows about the money and the philosophies behind the money, and the different countries and what they are and who they are and what side they're on. And it's really interesting to listen to him.
Okay, Jordan. So I would like to thank you very much for the interview, and then waiting for the contact. Maybe I'll be right to Joe.
Yeah.
And I hope your prediction for the next year to be true. That could be very nice. So everything comes to normal.
Yep. Well, so that's what Joe says. Joe said next April, March or April of next year, everything else will go. It'll all be gone. So I think, okay, so I say the same thing, because I know he's right. And I'd like to have you talk to him.
I will.
You'll see what I mean. You'll see what I mean.
That's for sure. You have a big knowledge. So.
He's very outspoken. He doesn't mind hurting people. He'll tell you what the truth is, whether you like it or not. And I love listening to him.
It's worth it. It's worth it. I can.
Yeah, it's really worth it.
He can scream on me. No, doesn't matter. I can record and show to the people. Everybody wants to listen. If there are people with the big knowledge like you and Joe, that's only to raise consciousness.
Yep, that's right.
Thank you very much, Jordan. Have you a nice day, and all the best and good health.
Okay, talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Please welcome Jordan Maxwell.
Thank you.
I love you, buddy.
Thank you.
I love you.
Coming up through the mountains and clawing his way through the mountains and rising. What's interesting, though, is this idea of the sunrise between two mountains. You watch this. First of all, there was a book put out just recently, the last few years, called Fire in the Minds of Men, The Origins of the Revolutionary Movement. The Origins of the Revolution, the World Revolutionary Faith and Movement, by James Billington. James Billington was the chief librarian for the Library of Congress. You don't get any more mainstream than that. And in his book, he said, the history of modern revolutions is the story of people in the grip of ideas and beliefs. And this masterful work, James Billington, whose first book was called The Icon and the Axe, established him as both a formidable scholar and a sparkling storyteller. But in this book called The Fire in the Minds of Men, he traces the course of the revolutionary faith from its earliest origins in occult Freemasonry to the allegedly scientific Marxism of today. So when we talk about scientific Marxism, world communism is actually being carried on by a secret society in Rome, which we call Freemasonry. The Masonic orders are different in every country, but in Rome, Freemasonry is an organized criminal operation, and who has been featured in motion pictures and television shows and documentaries. Now, here at the front of the book, the first of the book, is in the introduction, is a very important comment by James Billington. He said, a recurrent mythic model for revolutionaries, early romantics, young Karl Marx, and the Russians of Lenin's time was Prometheus, who stole fire from the gods for the use of mankind. The Promethean faith of revolutionaries resembles in many respects the general modern belief that science would lead men out of darkness into the light. But there was also a more pointed millennial assumption that, quote, on the new day, the sun that was dawning, the sun would never set. That's a very important term, the new day. You will see it everywhere. So I'm going back to the Promethean faith of revolutionaries resembles in many respects the general modern belief system that science would lead men out of darkness into light, and that there was also a more pointed millennial assumption that on the new day that was dawning, the sun would never set. Early during the French Revolutionary period was born the idea of a solar myth of the revolution, suggesting that the sun was rising on a new world order, on a new era in which the whole world was going to become a world revolutionary movement, and in which darkness would vanish forever. The image became implanted at the level of consciousness that simultaneously interpreted something real and produced a new reality. The new reality that they sought, the French Revolution sought, was radically secular and stringently simple. The ideal was not the balanced complexity of the new American Federation, but the occult simplicity of its great seal on the all-seeing eye atop the pyramid over the words Novus Ordo Seclorum, which is the Latin for New World Order. And that's what the Pope is always talking about, the coming of the New World Order. We should all work toward the New World Order. That's world communism being promoted by the Vatican, financed and organized by the Vatican. Here in New York, you will see Prometheus, who stole fire from the gods and brought it down to earth.
The idea is that Prometheus was a god who could go into heaven and hear what the gods of the universe are saying and what they're going to do. And then he would take those secrets from the gods and quietly come down here to the earth and tell us how to form our Illuminati, to control our earth, just like the gods are doing it with our whole creation. And so here in New York's Rockefeller Plaza, you have Prometheus, of course. Rockefellers were the most important financiers of the Communist Party of China. The Communist Party of Russia was financed by the Rockefellers. They put up the money to form the Soviet Union. And so here is Prometheus stealing fire. Here's a close-up picture of Prometheus stealing the fire from the gods. And this is the same fire that you will see on the back of the dime and the Statue of Liberty is holding. The Promethean fire of revolution represents the fire of revolution around the world. Again, the recurrent mythic model for revolutionaries and early romantics, the young Karl Marx and Russians of Lenin's time, was Prometheus. And then I dropped down to where it says, and that the new day that was dawning, the sun would never set. During the French Revolution was born the solar myth of the revolution, suggesting that the upheaval was being caused in France by the solar myth of a world revolution that was coming to the whole earth. And these were the French Grand Orient Temple Masons that were holding this belief and promoting it through the Vatican. Masonic Orders of Fraternity by Manly P. Hall. Manly Hall was a profoundly gifted Masonic master, and he was my dear friend. But in his book called The Masonic Orders of Fraternity, he wrote this: the direct descent of the essential program of the esoteric societies or schools, the direct descent of the essential program of the esoteric schools was entrusted to groups already well conditioned for the work. The guilds, trade unions, similar protective and benevolent societies had been internally strengthened by the introduction of a new kind of learning. It was called communism, a new learning, a new way to view the world of government. And the advancement of this plan required the enslavement of the boundaries of the philosophical overstatement. A world fraternity, we're talking about a new world order, a world fraternity was needed, sustained by a deep and broad program of education according to the method. Such a fraternity could not immediately include all men, but it could include and it could unite the activities of certain kinds of men. Yeah, all mafiosi gangsters, regardless of their racial or religious beliefs of the nations in that they lived and the nations that they lived in. These were, Manly P. Hall's words says, these were the men of towardness, those sons of tomorrow, whose symbol was a blazing sun rising over the mountains of the east. He goes on to say, while it is difficult, obviously, to trace the elements of a pattern that was never intended to be obvious, the broad shape of the design is dimly apparent. There is a secret, invisible empire, a world revolutionary communism and mafiosi and organized crime on the earth. But the most important part, it says, these were the men of towardness, those sons of tomorrow, who used a symbol. Their symbol was a blazing sun rising over the mountains of the east. Over the mountains of the east, a blazing sun, that these cult Freemasons are going to use as they build their new world communist order over the world? Well, here in North Korea, you will see the communist symbol of the sun rising over the mountain of the east. And they're all celebrating the rising sun of a dawn of a new day. This is in North Korea. Communist Party in India is a Marxist-Leninist Communist Party in India. And what do you see as the sun rising over the mountains of the east? You will see in the Rastafarians in the Caribbean what their revolutionary communist music call uprising. You will see the sunrise over the mountains of the east, the symbol for the world revolutionary movement. Here on the stamps of Israel, you will see in Israel on the stamps, these were the men toward us, those sons of tomorrow, whose symbol was a blazing sun rising over the mountains of the east. And there it is in Israel. Here you will see some of the countries that when the Soviet Union took over in Asia, the Soviet Union had so many little countries under them. And all of these little countries that the Soviet Communist Party took over, all their countries were always symbolized by a mountain rising over the sun rising over the mountains of the east. Here's Romania with the sunrise over the mountains. In communist Mongolia, you'll see the sun rising over the mountains. You'll see it everywhere in the Soviet Union. In Armenia, you will see the sun rising over the mountains of Armenia. The sun rising over the mountains. And here it is again in Armenia, back in 1919. You'll see the sun rise over the mountain. It's a symbol for the World Revolutionary Masonic Order, who's operating out of the Vatican, operating purposely to overthrow the governments of the world and to bring under subjection all of the people of this world under a communist regime, under one world government with absolute power over the whole human race. You will always see the sunrise behind the mountains and all communist symbolism of the different countries that communism has taken over. And here in Russia, you will see the Russian colors of red, white, and blue. Most people don't know that the new Russian colors, official colors of the Russian Federation is red, white, and blue. And what you see is a sunrise behind the mountains of the east. So we see it everywhere, the concept of the sunrise behind the mountains representing the world revolutionary movement. Here's the international official organ of the Independent Theosophical Society, and you will see above is the Star of David and the swastika and the crux from Egypt, and you will see in the Egyptian door, you will see the sun rising over the mountains of the east. The People's Republic of Japan, you see the sun rising over the mountains of the east. Even in Asia, you will see the same concept. Everywhere you see Bolivia, with the sunrise over the mountains. Masonic Orders of Fraternity again talks about the sun. The symbol was for the blazing sun rising over the mountains of the east. This is important because you have, in the west, you have British Columbia, the sun rising over the mountain. And then on the east coast, you have the District of Columbia. Here you have the state of Arizona. You see the sun rising over the mountains. Here's Nevada. There's Montana. You will see the sunrise over the mountains of the east. Here's Romania with the sunrise. Communist Mongolia. We have the state of Ohio with the sun rising over the mountains of the east. This just shows you how the Illuminati has set up our states and our state governments a long time before your great-grandmother was even born. A long time ago, back in the 1800s, 1700s and 1800s, when America was being founded, all of our states that were being founded by the secret societies of Freemasons out of Rome. The Holy Father, who represents God, he was the Godfather. This is why our country is in the condition it's in today. The state of Arizona, you see the sunrise. Nevada, you'll see the same sunrise. Everywhere you look, the state of Indiana, you'll see the sunrise over the mountains. The Department of the Interior back in 1849. What do you see but the sun rising over the mountains of the east? Nevada again. Santa Barbara, the city of Santa Barbara has a sunrise over the mountains of the east. The state of Alaska. And in New York, the symbol for the state of New York is the sun rising over the mountains of the east. Again, you see the same thing in New York and New York City and New York State, Kansas. So this is a very important symbol of the sun rising over the mountains. Obviously, the idea is to express that the world revolutionary movement called the Illuminati is setting up your world, it's setting up your country, it's setting up your different states, it's setting up your banking institutions, it's conducting your wars, it's setting up your churches and your religions, and the entire superstructure of Western civilization is being quietly and professionally put together in such a way that you will never know how your government really works. But they are in control, period. And here we have the Arab Federation. You'll see the sunrise behind the mountains of the east with the Arab symbols for the swords. Now here's an interesting side note. This is the old seal that we saw before, Shemesh, the sun god, rising. Look on the bottom, at the bottom right, you will see the Egyptian counterpart. This is the old Assyrian sun god, Shemesh, but you'll see the Egyptian counterpart. You see this symbol? Yeah. Well, here's the sunrise over the mountains on Google. The Egyptian sunrise you will see on the bottom right. Sunrise over the mountains on Google. Sunrise on the mountains in Apple. You have sunrise over the mountains of Microsoft. Sunrise over the mountains in Samsung. Sunrise over the mountains on Twitter. Sunrise over the mountains on Facebook. Sunrise over the mountains. Sunrise over the mountains. This is why all of these different systems are referred to as social networks. Why? Because it's socialism. Socialism is referred to as the USSR. When there was a Soviet Union, it used to be called the USSR. USSR for the Soviet Communist Party was the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, USSR. Today we don't have socialist republics, we have the whole entire world is now being brought into some kind of a world socialist movement or world communism in which the whole earth is going to be guided by a secret society of Freemasons operating out of Rome. As far back as we could go back in history, we could see it came out of Rome. And the new day that was dawning the sun would never set, the new day. Well, here's the Soviet coat of arms back in 1923. The 1923, when the Soviet Union was being founded, they had the Soviet coat of arms. All countries must have a coat of arms. So back in 1923, we have the Soviet Union. The World Communist Party set up the Soviet Union, and it says in the dictionary, The Soviet coat of arms left graphically presents the dawn of a new day for the entire world. I just said that before. The new day is dawning. And so the Soviet coat of arms graphically presents the dawn of a new day. And here we have Hillary Clinton running the dawn of a new day for Hillary Clinton, a Soviet operative in America. And they are the people, B.O., Barack Obama, old B.O., and Clinton. They both are crying about Trump colluding with Russians when they are themselves Soviet agents operating inside the United States. Pretty incredible, the dawn of a new day. The Communist Party was ecstatic over the 2008 election because they finally got old B.O. into office. Barack Obama, the world-famous communist, Marxist-Leninist overthrower of the United States of America, and the people loved it. The people loved him. Well, that's what the Illuminati masters, the Freemasonic orders out of Rome, they knew. The people will love Obama because he's a black man and he talks like a white man. And Hillary Clinton with her dawn of a new day. A new day is dawning. Yeah, thank God he's gone. Here we have Mr. Obama's win was announced in Times Square, New York. And all the airhead, dingbat, knuckle-dragging, goofballs, uneducated dingbats are all crying because we've finally got an old Marxist-Leninist communist who's going to bring about a new world order. And we've been praying for someone to come and bring a new world order, world communism, and this is incredible. A new day dawns for our country, yeah. Ralph Nader says, yeah, it's a new day for America. Yeah, Spider-Man is a brand new day for Spider-Man. And 1939, you will see, 1939, the World's Fair. What was the theme for the World's Fair in 1939? See the sun through the grave. It's the dawn of a new day. Hail the dawn of a new day. That's the 1939 World's Fair. 1939 when the Second World War began with Adolf Hitler. And here it is in Deutschland, Germany. You will see the sunrise on the left behind the mountains of the east, and you will see it's a Nazi symbol. Here again, there's a sunrise behind the mountains of the east, and on both of those symbols, you will see it's the eagle with the swastika. Here is an article from the German magazine, talks about Adolf Hitler, the old Adolf Hitler, the old Marxist-Leninist Soviet communist Nazi Führer, who fed the German people the scam from the Vatican and British BS, and it's worked. It worked for a while. Hitler said Germany can be saved only by the dictatorship of a national will and the determination to take action. My fellow Germans, awaken. A new day is dawning. I've heard that before. The Nazis with the new day that was dawning, with the communists in Russia whose new day was dawning, and now it's finally starting to dawn on the whole world. We have been had. The entire human race is now in the hands of the secret societies because our states were founded by them, our government was founded by them, our criminal justice system was founded by them, their court systems. It's an incredible story of how the Western world, America, has been betrayed, and ignorant people have no idea in the world what's coming down and what's going to happen to America soon. It's all there. The dawn of a new day, says Hitler. Pope calls for a world new order. I can imagine. Soviet coat of arms, the dawn of a new day. This is talking about the Solomon's temple. In the Hebrew dictionary, it talked about the temple was laid out on the east-west axis with the entrance to the east, on the east. Some have suggested that this permitted the sun to illuminate, like Illuminati, to illuminate the inside of the temple, of Jehovah's temple, on the first day of autumn. And that this was related to the solar cult of the festival of Yahweh's enthronement, the sun god Aton, tetragram Aton. We see it on Jewish symbols, sunrise Torah. We see the pictures of sunrise, sun worshiping Jews in Jerusalem, worshiping God's Son, the light of the world, our risen Savior. The church and the religions in general. We have global spiritual communism. And the masters of this world realized our incoming world government will be called God's kingdom. And God's kingdom is going to be the same old stuff that's always been pushed from day one. God's kingdom will have the symbol of a blazing sun rising over the mountains of the east to represent the coming of the World Communist Party to rule the world. Here you have pictures within the Christian church of the sunrise over the mountains. Christian challenge, you'll see the sunrise over the mountains. The whole idea of Christianity is based on the sunrise over the mountains of the east. Stained glass, where the hapless father is showing his wife and the children, see, here's what we're going to be crawling on our knees to. The Masonic Order of Italy, under the Holy Father, who represents God through the world Godfather, who's going to bring about the new day and a new dawn of the sunrise. And Jimmy Carter, oh Jimmy, in a speech in Plains, Georgia, on the dawn of November 3rd, 1976, Jimmy said, "I see the sun rising on a beautiful new day." A beautiful new day, Jimmy Carter. No wonder our country has been raped and plundered and our laws are trashed and our future is being trashed. So we have something called the New Day, which is CNN. I call CNN the Communist News Network, the New Day. And so the New Day is presented in CNN, and what is the inside of? It's inside of a red square. That's what in Russia, they have a red square in the Soviet, and the Soviet government, it's in the red square. And so this whole idea of the dawn of a new day for the entire world is coming about. Nearly a dozen big Republican donors backing different presidential candidates are coming together to help fund an advertising campaign attacking the frontrunner, Donald Trump, who faces sharp criticism from rules this week for his inflammatory comments about Muslims. Matthew David, a spokesman for the group planning this attempt by the Super PAC, calls the New Day for America. And this is where is going to be supporting the Ohio governor, and this whole new thing about to overthrow the President Trump is being guided by an organization called the New Day for America. the world communist movement. Now, Karl Marx, we know, has been called the father of communism. He was the father of nothing. He didn't come up with communism. It was the Illuminati Freemasons. But here in this article in the encyclopedia, it says Karl Marx said that for society to change into a communistic society, it's going to take a transitional period. It's going to take a little time for us to get the people prepared for accepting a new world order in their government. No more freedom, no more of that bull crap of freedom and liberty and justice for all. That's over. We got a new government coming in, a new world order in which everybody is going to crawl on your knees to the emperor. And you better get yourself in line with the new government. And so Karl Marx said that for a society to change into a communist government, that's why we have old B.O. with the change you can believe in. Yeah, the change is changing from American to a communist new world order. Here in the Discovery Channel had a series of videos put out about the life of Adolf Hitler. And it says on the back of this video, it says, Volume 1, the early years of Adolf Hitler. For a nation in darkness. Well, Germany was not in darkness. It was a highly intelligent country. And it says, for a nation in darkness, it was the promise of a new dawn for the failed artist, Adolf Hitler. It was a chance to change society. Well, that's what B.O. talked about, the change that people will believe in. This is the change you've been waiting for. You're tired of all this freedom and liberty and justice for all and goodness and decency. Let's change it into a world communist party and a world totalitarian state in which the whole world will now live under totalitarian Roman fashion. The dawn of a new day, communist crap was not new, of course, but back in 1939, we see the World's Fair was called the dawn of a new day in New York, 1939 World's Fair. Most people didn't know what that all meant, but the dawn of a new day was the World Communist Party out of Italy, Rome, secret societies, manipulating and exploiting the ignorance of the people, setting up a whole new world order. Dawn of a new day. We have the music of Horace Heidt, the musical accompaniment to the World 1939 World's Fair. Dawn of a new day. 9.5 mystics, the Kabbalah today. The Kabbalah, and the 9th chapter of this book, called The Fragrance of Eden, the way of one who is caught between the suns of a dying and a dawning new day. It's all part of an ancient Jewish religion based on the Atan, the god of Egypt, the god of the sun. And here you have socialism, as dreamed of by Karl Marx, cannot be entirely brought about by comprehensive systems of state ownership and by the leveling of wealth. If that were done without the spiritual leveling, the result would be the same as you largely suggest. These were two people talking about, can we have this new world order of the world revolutionary movement take over the entire earth without the churches, without religion? No, you gotta get the churches involved. You get the people in the churches involved to support the World Communist Party. Oh, okay, if that's the case. So here we have Christian television and radio stations with 14 hours of Christian teachings. You will see the first program is called The Dawn of a New Day. The New Day Community Church, sunrise behind the mountains of the east. The New Day Community Church of Nazarenes. It's a new day dawning. So get ready and get on your knees and be prepared to accept the Lord in the new day which is coming. the new Messiah, a new order on the earth. You always see the sunrise behind the mountains of the east. The churches have bought into this stuff big time. It's a new day. Christianity has bought into this Masonic new day, new dawn crap, and the people have no idea in the world. They're just following, as they always have. They just follow what their preachers tell them, and their church is going all the way for the dawn of a new day. Here's a daily Bible study. We need to study about the dawn of a new day. New Day Christian Church Fellowship. It's all over the web, everywhere you go. New Day Christian churches. Everything is the new day and the new dawn with the sun rising. And Jesus, of course, is the sun who's rising. He is our risen Savior. Of course, Jesus is your risen Savior because Jesus represents the sun. And the sun is your risen Savior. If it don't come up tomorrow, we're dead in 3 weeks. So the sun is your risen Savior. So if you're looking for God and anything spiritual in churches, you might as well forget it. This is one great big Marxist-Leninist communist operation that is now hovering over the entire world. And the people of this world have no idea in the world what this stuff really means and where it actually came from. But it's coming. Now, what's interesting in conclusion, and here is the really interesting part, the culmination of all of this. The New Day Church for people like you. And I'm thinking to myself when I first read that, the New Day Christian Church for people like you, who have no brains, who are brain dead, who have never been educated, that don't know how to read, can't think, and have no idea in the world what's going on. This is a church just for you. It's called the New Day Christian Church. So just come on in and sit down and be quiet and make sure you're in compliance with your government for the New Day Christianity. One last thing I wanted to show you. Welcome to the New Day Church. This poor girl has no idea on the earth what's going on. And she is leading all the other people who really are ignorant, have no idea. So we can say that the Communist Party, the dawn of a new day for the world of Christianity, is over. The churches are now fully in the hands of the Masonic order out of Rome. This is why the Vatican and the Roman system of Freemasonry operates throughout the whole world. And the people have no idea in the world what the symbols mean and where it came from. But this is what's important as from me, from my point of view. I do this little piece in on the end. Back in the 1980s, early 1980s, there was a television show about aliens who came from another planet and came here to this world and wanted to take over the world of mankind. And they were reptilian aliens. And they presented themselves as the saviors of the human race. We come here to save the human family, to protect you and to give you new technology and all these wonderful things we're going to do for you while we're eating you. And so the television show was the original miniseries called V. Do you remember this? Did you ever see it? Yes. Okay, now V was redone a couple of years ago. A couple of years ago, ABC, this was originally on NBC. ABC, equally as bad as NBC. I always say ABC is all about communism. NBC is nothing but communism. And CBS is a communist broadcasting system. So in the 1980s, there was a television show, this is important, a TV show called Original Miniseries V, where it was a story of the extraterrestrials who came here in a huge saucer-shaped disc, and they took over the earth, and slowly but surely they were being able to take over the whole world. And little by little by little, they're taking over the entire earth. And the article in the newspaper talked about how V stands for victory. Well, the communists have a victory. This is the emblem or the sign that gets spray painted over posters of the alien race that have come to the earth and is used as a sign of rebellion for those who stand against the aliens, the reptilians in form. The aliens disguise themselves as humans. They look human. And in order to pull them off their guard, pull the people off their guard, the aliens look like beautiful humans, and they've come here to help you. They're going to help you like Jesus. They're going to help you like the church. And what they're going to help you, you'll see. They claim that they are in need of a chemical substance on our planet and ask for our help to produce it. In return, they offer to teach us about their advancements in science and technology that the aliens have, and little to the humans' knowledge. The reptilians are in fact stealing our water and cryogenically freezing humans to transport them back to their planet for food. That sounds about normal. The series centers on the efforts of a journalist named Michael Donovan and a group of rebel fighters who try and save the planet by fighting against the aliens. So if you remember that show, it came on back in 1980 called V. Well, ABC also created the show just recently. And here it is on ABC Network. The TV series called V. And V in the magazine is being advertised. It says ABC has released this full new preview of V, which is the re-imaging of the 1980s miniseries about the world's first encounter with an alien race and what the aliens call themselves the visitors, and have a seemingly friendly agenda and may or may not be covered for something more malevolent. So ABC has redone the television show V. Then another ad that says this: the full V preview now online. The source is ABC Television. ABC has released a full new preview of V, which is a re-imaging of the 1980 miniseries about the world's first encounter with an alien race, in which the aliens and them call themselves the visitors and have seemingly friendly agenda that may or may not be covered for something more malevolent. And here is the punchline to this whole lecture. And in the TV series, the so-called visitor, alien visitors, they distribute a booklet among the people of the world explaining their mission here on the earth. And the TV series, the so-called visitors, distribute a booklet explaining their mission here on the earth. I think that's very nice of them to do that, to explain to all the humans on the earth what the alien visitors are going to do. Here is the Here is the pamphlet they're distributing from the V television, The Dawn of a New Day. This is ABC television promoting world communism and the video V. And they're telling us that it is the alien visitors who have put us up to this crap and who are misleading the entire human race.
About 10 minutes.
10? So, the bottom line on this is we have been had, the whole human race, by so-called visitors, alien visitors, and that's what I believe has been happening, is that the world is being guided into a destiny that we cannot get out of. We cannot face the reality of the destiny we are facing on the earth today. We humans are nothing more than animals to the visitors. And it's frightening to think of how ABC and NBC, national radio and television shows, are promoting the dawn of a new day in their television shows. America and the New World Order back in 1940. Building a new world. It is dumb and dumber. Karl Marx said the society to change into a communist system. There he is, the communist leader, to change our society. And Hillary with the dawning of the new day. And we have Adolf Hitler on the top with his fist rising, his raising fist for the dawn of a new day for Germany, and our beloved Nazi, fascist, bloodletting, murderous traitor to our country, with his fist leading the American people and the American government into a dawn of a new day revolution. American zombie. That's who we are today. We're here, we're dead, and get used to it. And here is Adolf Hitler giving the communist symbol, the salute for the World Communist Party, and we have Miss, what's her name? Debbie Wasserman Schultz, the head of the Democratic Party. Miss Schultz, a nice Jewish girl, with her hand raised with Adolf Hitler for the dawn of a new day for the American people. My God, these people are horrible. We need to wake up and let the world know that this is not going to work. All over the world, humans know that there's something very bad coming, and something very bad is in the wind. And I'm telling you, watch what's going to happen in America in October of this coming year. I believe that there's going to be something terrible is going to happen in October. I don't know exactly what it's going to be, but I do believe it's going to be absolutely, unbelievably horrible. And Americans are not prepared for it, because these people who are working for the dawn of a new day, like Adolf Hitler and David Wasserman Schultz and all these other people who are helping to lead the American people into their destiny of criminality and putting us into prison camps and taking our country and our freedoms from us, we're losing bad. Why? Because of education. The people of this world are not educated, and that's what I'm trying to do, is to enlighten the human family as to what's coming. And here we have the silver dollar with the lady, Liberty, and the article said Miss Liberty is walking toward the dawn of a new day. Isn't that wonderful? And here we have Stalin talking about, this is what we call socialism. That's why you have all the social networks, Facebook and all these other social networks. Yeah, because this is called socialism. Socialism is nothing more than the old Masonic order out of Vatican promoting a world totalitarian dictatorship. So you can flush your hope here. Who is behind the world communist plot to destroy civilization around the world? The guys who are really behind this stuff in the Vatican is a special group, and you need to know who they are. Here they are. They're called the Jesuits. As far as I'm concerned, the Jesuits are the original men in black. The Jesuits are a special priesthood who are designed and promoted and designed to do one thing, and that is to overthrow mankind's governments and bring about a new Vatican, Masonic, new world order in which all nations of this world will crawl on their knees to the Holy Father, who will bring about what we call a new world order out of Rome. This is what we're now dealing with, a group called the Jesuits. Jesuits, purveyors of world violence since 1540. World violence by the Jesuits. The secret plan of the order. Books that I have had in my possession about understanding the secret society of the Jesuits. It's even called the Jesuit conspiracy. Code word Babylon, danger in the Vatican, the sons of Loyola and their plans for world domination. The Jesuits out of the Vatican. It is my opinion, said the Marquis d'Affilat, in my opinion that the liberties of this country, the United States of America, will be destroyed if it will be by the subtlety of the Roman Catholic Jesuit priests. For they are the most crafty, dangerous enemies to civil and religious liberties. They have instigated most of the wars of Europe, says the Marquis d'Affilat, a French statesman. John Adams, my history of the Jesuits is not eloquently written, but it is supported by unquestionable authorities. It is very particularly and very horrible. There, the Jesuit order of Pius XII is indeed a step toward darkness, cruelty, despotism, etc., and death. I do not like the appearance of the Jesuits. If ever there was a body of men who merited eternal damnation on earth and in hell, it is the Jesuits of the Ignatius Loyola of the Catholic Church. Winston Churchill said, "You must understand that this is not against Hitler or National Socialism. This war is against the strength of the German people, which is to be smashed once and for all, regardless of whether it is in the hands of a Hitler or a Jesuit priest." Abraham Lincoln said, "I feel more and more each day that it is not against the Americans of the South alone that we are fighting. It is more against the people of Rome, the Pope of Rome, and his perfidious Jesuits, and their blind and bloodthirsty slaves." Abraham Lincoln to Charles Chinderby, the priest. So, the three Jesuits and the downfall of the president. Richard Nixon had him around himself. He had Jesuit priests advising him, and they advised him and give him the advice on what to do with his presidency, and he ended up losing the presidency and stepping down. And so the article in the magazine said Watergate SG, S.J., Society of Jesus, 3 Jesuits in the downfall of the president. People don't know that in that Watergate hearing, that was all about the Jesuits overthrowing the United States government. The secret history of the Jesuits, who founded Nazism. They financed it, organized it, directed it, the Communist Party and the Nazi Party. The Jesuits and Marxism. These are articles and magazines and books and videos about the rise of the Jesuits and the Catholic Church. Why are the American Jesuits going to bat for the communists? And this incredible old man is a Jesuit, leading the Jesuits, and if you find out the stuff that he has pulled himself, the incredible stuff that he has done himself, and how absolutely, without a doubt, is so incredibly evil. And the people of the church couldn't care less. They just loved the Pope, just like they loved old B.O. Because the people just love to be, the people seem to be in love with the idea of being ripped off and raped and plundered. And so the church says, yeah, well, somebody's got to do it, so it might as well be us. Here is the first Jesuit mafia pope is given a crucifix with Jesus hanging on the communist hammer and sickle by Romania's communist dictator. And here the Pope is getting a hammer and sickle from the Communist Party. And you'll see Jesus hanging on the hammer. The Jesuits were organized by the religious zealot Ignatius Loyola. They have been identified as the controllers behind the U.S. government. They are themselves merely lieutenants of the cult of Anton. The imagery of their emblem leaves us in no doubt as to their occult history and their agenda. A new world order under the coming Son of God. And here you will see the 2 official Jesuit priests, one's blue and one's red. And that's what we're told, that our country is being divided between blue and red. The Jesuits are behind our political processes and our governmental systems. I think that we are being taken over by extraterrestrials. In Europe, they have statues. Incredible. Here's Jesus, blue and red. Jesuit priest, and you'll see Bush on one side and the other dingbat on the other side. Kennedy and Nixon. The Pope is referred to as the Holy Father because he represents God on earth, and he is the real Godfather in Rome. The Godfather, the Holy Father who represents God. Anyway,
who's going to be our president?
Say it again.
Who's going to be our president, our next president?
What did she say?
She asked you who was going to be our next president.
You've already got him. You've already got the next president. Trump will be the next president. There's no doubt in my mind about that. But it's going to really be very, very difficult because they are planning on some kind of an international movement against Trump. And there's no doubt in my mind about that. He's going to go through some terrible times because they are trying to overthrow him and get him out of office because they know that he knows what's going on and he knows who the enemy is, and they're trying to get rid of him because they know that the next election is going to be really tough. So I believe that we're going to see some terrible things happening soon. And I want to thank you for putting your time, and thank you for listening to me.
Jordan Maxwell, everybody.